welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a little while since I have uploaded anything and I am sorry for that. I apologize. My sincerest apologies. I'm really going to try hard to be consistent. Today is Monday when I'm filming, so hopefully I'll have this up by tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I thought it would be fun to do like a get to know you video. For those of you that don't really know who I am, or some of you may know me and may not know all the information I'm about to disclose. I act like it's so juicy, but it's really not. I'm just a human like everybody else. I am a mother. I work full-time at our local university. I sell skincare on the side, and I have my amazing husband, Jason, and I have two kids. One is named Matai. He's my older son. He's 6 years old and loves Jesus with all his heart. It's super cute. And I have a daughter who is a year and a half, and her name is Brielle. I got married about 2 years ago. Yeah, so that is where I'm at currently in life. I attend my local church here and I love it very much. I used to sing on the worship team. I took a break once I had my daughter, and it has been such an adjustment to get her to stay in the nursery. Granted, like, I know some of that is probably my fault because I thought I was helping her out by not taking her when she was like super small. But now looking back at it, I probably should have taken her when she was super small, so that we wouldn't have like separation anxiety every Sunday. Currently, I've been literally going into the nursery and staying there. I'll try and sneak out, and then the ladies will page me like 5 minutes later because she won't stop screaming. But yesterday was legit the first time that I didn't get a page for 20 minutes and I got to be in service for like a good 20 to 30 minutes, which was awesome. But then of course when we went to go pick her up, she was like, you know, like she acted like it was the end of the world. But these little baby steps are definitely, I believe, going to get us to where we need to be, because as soon as she gets to go in the nursery, my full intention is to go back and sing on the worship team. I know some people have asked me about that, and that's why I haven't been there, because just getting my daughter adjusted. And not only that, but we do come from a blended family. My son is from a previous marriage, and as a mom, I just want to do my best to make sure that everybody is 100% okay. The dynamics kind of changed a little, not only when I got married, but then when we introduced this new little baby girl to our family, and she's such a blessing. But there is definitely some transition that takes place with that, and I just want to make sure that my little ones are okay with that, and I want to be the best mama I can be, and just support them, be there for them 100%. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself right now. I grew up I was an only child, and I always say, like, my parents did not treat me like an only child at all, literally. It's not like I got whatever I wanted. I know you're probably thinking, like, of course she's gonna say that because she was an only child, but no, I was not spoiled at all. I would have loved to have siblings, but unfortunately, my mom did have a miscarriage before me, and she had a miscarriage after me, and so it just wasn't God's plan for our family to have more than one child. And who knows, life would have been completely different, I think, if I would have grown up with siblings. Of course, I think now, like, I would have loved it, and even growing up, I always wanted a sibling so bad, and I would always pray, but it just never happened. But I was blessed to grow up the way that I did. My father was an alcoholic when I was younger, and by the grace of God, his life got completely transformed and changed. His story is really amazing. He was, although it's not something to be proud of, but he was one of the first people to go through New Mexico drug courts. And I think it was a couple years back, he actually got chosen to speak because his life was so transformed and changed through this program that he got nationally recognized in Orlando, Florida, and he was able to speak at a big conference in front of thousands of people. And so I'm so proud of the man that he is, and just the father and husband. He is just an amazing dad, and I couldn't be more blessed. My mom, she's so strong. She definitely carried our family through, and my grandmother on my mom's side is a huge prayer warrior, or she was, and she was definitely praying for our family. And I'm sure she wasn't the only one, because we wouldn't have ended up where we are now if it weren't for those people that were praying for us in the past. So yeah. In high school, I did suffer from a severe eating disorder. I had anorexia nervosa. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that, that is the eating disorder where you just do not eat. It kind of caught me blindly, because of course at first I started convincing myself that I was just being healthy, and so I was watching what I was eating. And at the time I was in cheer, and so we did work out a lot. You know, being in cheer, a lot of people say, oh, cheer's not a sport, but let me tell you, like, I was in the best shape of my life, okay? And this is before I started my eating disorder, but it slowly kind of crept in on me. And for those of you that maybe have struggled with an eating disorder, you know somebody that struggled with an eating disorder, that's how it starts. It kind of slowly creeps its way in. And so that's what happened to me. I think my junior and senior year in high school, I didn't even realize that I had an eating disorder, and to me, I was just living a healthy lifestyle. It wasn't until probably, I believe I was 18 or 19, maybe 18, and my parents confronted me about it because I was just so thin. And even at that, I was like, no, I don't have an eating disorder. This is something I can totally control. And when I tried to take control of it myself, when I realized that I couldn't, I absolutely could not control it myself, and I felt very defeated. And that's when I finally went back to my parents and I said, okay, I really believe that I do have a problem and I need help. So immediately they took me to the doctor. And the downside to being I live in a smaller city, you know, it's not like a big city. And at the time, we only had, and I will say this because we still only have one therapist that specializes in eating disorders, and she is super hard to get into. And so at first I wasn't able to get in with her. I was on a waiting list, as well as the only dietitian in town that specializes in eating disorders. And so I tried, you know, what I thought I was trying my hardest with a dietitian that didn't specialize in eating disorders, and with a therapist that didn't specialize in eating disorders. And I did that for about a good 6 months. And then I had like a really bad relapse, and it got even worse. And so at that point, by the grace of God, there was an opening for the eating disorder therapist. And by the grace of God, also the dietitian had an opening too. And it was a long journey. It was a very long, what felt like lonely journey to go through, but God totally brought me through. And the interesting thing is that I found God at the age of 16. Throughout my whole life, I had such a hunger to go to church. Like literally, you guys, I went to church with my Mormon friends. I went to Catholic church. Like I tried it all. It's just this hunger and this desire that I had inside of me, because I knew there had to be more in life. And so at the age of 16, my mom's friend invited us to an Easter production at their church. And when I went, I just felt like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. It was like I practically wanted to live at that church. Like that's how deep God was tugging at my heartstrings. And so during this time, 16, 17, 18, I did have a relationship with God. But it's crazy to think how deep of a bondage I had with this eating disorder, although I was living a life with Christ. And it's interesting to me because it just goes to show that no one is off limits. You know, the enemy will creep in any way that he can into your life so that He can destruct the purpose and plan that God has for you. And so it's just totally a God thing. And I do believe that if I wouldn't have gone through things like that, I probably wouldn't have the compassion I have today. I probably wouldn't be able to speak to people that I'm able to speak to today. And I am grateful for having gone through that. And I'm so grateful that I came out victorious. And that is simply by the grace of God. I was finally able to overcome that probably when I was around 19 or 20. Is it something that has completely gone away? I still struggle with thoughts every single day. I still struggle with the fact of thinking about food or just struggling with how I look, what my appearance is, how I feel in my clothes. Are my clothes feeling tight? You know, it's a constant battle. But over the years, like, God has just made me stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I'm able to overcome those things. And there's a lot of different things that I've had to pray out and cry out to God about, because I can't do this on my own. And there's no way I would have been able to do it on my own. So I'm so thankful for God in my life and the guidance that He has given me and the people He's placed in my life. If it weren't for my parents to intervene and say, listen, we think that this issue is going on and we really need to get you help. You know, if it wouldn't have been for them, I don't know where I would be at today. So I'm so thankful for that, and so thankful for the strength that God has given us, and for the Holy Spirit just living and guiding me every single day. So when I was 18, I met my first husband at our church here in town, and he was actually on staff. I like to say in my past life. I don't know why I say that. I guess maybe to make light of the situation. But I always say in my past life, I was married and I was a pastor's wife. There's a lot of people that don't know that about me, but my ex-husband and I actually were youth pastors, and I was one of the worship leaders, and I absolutely loved every single minute of it. And I really truly believe that it is or was one of my callings. I don't know if God has that for me in the future, but it just brings my heart so much joy to minister to people, and even speaking about it right now brings tears to my eyes, because, and I feel so cheesy for this, but it feels like that's where I'm supposed to be. And so it was crazy, because when I was in the midst of doing all that, I always remember thinking, I need to hold on to every single one of these moments, because I know it's not going to last forever. And there was always something inside of me that just kind of knew, kind of knew that life wasn't going to last forever. But yeah, so some unfortunate things happened, and I ended up getting a divorce. I did have my son. His name is Matai, like I said earlier. His dad and I are still really, really good friends. He's an amazing dad, and I've walked through forgiveness, and I've walked through, I just have so much peace and so much closure with him. And I think it's important not only for my son, but it's important for myself too, because I'm not holding on to that unforgiveness, and there's not like a burden on my heart. So yeah, and after that I moved back to Las Cruces. My son and I did, with my mom and dad. We moved in for a little bit. I was a single mom for a couple years, and as stinky as the situation was to be a single mom, that time with my son was such a special time. He is such a true blessing, and I just can't say enough good things about him. God totally knew what He was doing. I always think, if it weren't for my son, I don't know if I would have been able to walk through that situation as strong as I did. Because as a mama, those mamas that are watching, God just gives you a strength, If you didn't have your kids, you wouldn't have to be strong for them. And so I think that's one of the things that really gave me strength and joy during that time. There was so much joy in my life, and it was just because he was 1 and 2 and 3, and it's such a precious time for them. And I did get a lot of precious time. He doesn't remember it, but I do, and it was so special to me, and I will always hold that so special and dear to my heart. So shortly after, I think when my son was about 3 years old, I met my current husband here at church. His name is Jason. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would marry a police officer. But lo and behold, God has a plan for your life, and so now we are happily married. We have a beautiful baby girl, Brielle, and we're just living our best lives. One thing that I love to do, for those of you that do not know me very well, I'm literally obsessed with coffee. And we'll say I'm literally obsessed with Starbucks coffee. I always get the same drink. My son knows my drink order by heart, and he's known it for years. I know, it's embarrassing to say, but I mean, that's who I am. I love to sing. I love doing things that are creative. So one of my hobbies is photography. It's something that I just enjoy doing. I enjoy capturing different little moments, life's precious, special moments. My passion is, one of my passions is worship. I love worship. I feel like that's when I can really, truly connect with God. I can have a powerful connection with Him. That's where I feel like my battleground is at. And prayer too. I love praying. I love praying in the Spirit. I believe in it with all my heart. And I know that God moves on my behalf during worship and prayer. And so those are two things that are very, very special and precious to me. One of the things lately that I've really been into is helping women and girls just feel and live empowered. And by that, I mean, I truly believe that we all have a purpose, and we all have a meaning, and we all have that special calling in our lives. So many of us don't walk in that calling and in that purpose that God has created for us. And whether you believe in God or not, I truly believe that every single person has a purpose and a calling. And a lot of times we're too consumed right now in this day and age of what people will think about us or how we will be perceived. And I've just come to realization in my 31 years of life, it's taken me this long, but that you walk in so much freedom when you're not worried about what people think about you. And I'm not saying that I really don't care what people think about me, because of course, I struggle with that all the time. But I've gotten to the point where I'm able to post things, and before it was like I was held in this bondage, and I was too scared to really come across as joyful and cheery and posting things that may be able to help other people out, because I was too worried about what people would think or say about me. And now it's like, now I think, oh my gosh, that mindset is so twisted, because just because I'm worried about what people are going to think about me, I'm not going to put some kind of positive quote up, Why would people take that offensively? I have truly grown into this passion that I really want to empower women and just give them strength and show them the strength that they have, and bring out those beautiful attributes that they do have inside of them, so that they're able to walk in the women that God has created for them to walk in, and be the moms and the daughters and the sisters and the people of this society that God has created you to be. Because I really truly believe that your light is meant to shine wherever you go, and you are supposed to have joy and all of that. God says we're supposed to live a life of abundance, and if we're not living in freedom, and if we're not living in joy, then where is the abundance in our life? Hello, I am in my car. It's the next day, but I was editing last night and I realized that I have way too much content for just one video. So I'm gonna split it up, part 1 and part 2. This is part 1, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for part 2 next week.